the right hand will come in, whew, could just slip, pivot, bam, bam. But it's like the rhythm of the head movement and the timing and your foot position with the pivot, all those things really matter, right? Head movement here, shuffle, pivot, pivot, pivot. That's a good thing, instincts and moving backwards. It's just how are you gonna get there? Step like this, and you're gonna step like this, you're gonna step like this, you're gonna step like this, pivot, and then move, pivot, side shuffle, pivot, step, shuffle, shuffle, right, pivot. All right, morning guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Always appreciate it. Shout out to all the subscribers. Gratitude to anybody new. Welcome along. Thank you for tuning in. This video, another really important one. We're going to talk about footwork. I know you guys seem to really gravitate to a lot of the footwork videos that I do. Very much appreciated to anyone that's watching that. Hope you guys have been practicing and training, because this video is a really important one. It's going to help you go from the basic box step, right, where you're just going forwards, sideways, up, left, whatever direction you're going in to make a box, keeping it simple, keeping it slow, efficient, to adding a bit more rhythm, a few more moves to your footwork, right? Maybe a little bit of head movement. I'm trying to keep this for beginners, so I don't want to go too fast or overwhelm you. But sometimes when I drop these little nuggets about head movement, it doesn't hurt to know. It doesn't hurt to know that's how you can add a bit of rhythm. The different moves that you have in footwork, the different shifts and turns, that's how you can add rhythm, and that's how you can essentially go from just saying words to actually speaking, essentially. So let's get into the video.
Boxing.
All right guys, I'm just gonna ramble a little bit. Hopefully you can see. It's just so early in the morning here that the light hasn't had time to come over. But if I do it later, it gets so busy that this time is good. It's like 6:30 a.m., but hopefully you can see me. But anyway, let's start, right? I made a video about the philosophy of footwork. Thank you to anybody that watched that. And I basically went into depth about what footwork does and why you need it, why it's probably the most important thing in the sport. And then I made another video about footwork where I explained the basic direction you have to go in, right? Where you step back, your back leg goes backwards. If you're going backwards, right, you lead with your back leg. If I'm going right, I'm going to lead with this, the other foot follows it. If I'm going forward, I'm going to lead with my front foot, the other foot follows it. All right, so most of you probably watched that are watching this, if you're subscribed. And maybe, and shout out to somebody that I spoke to who was trying to, it seemed like he was trying to take his footwork to the next level. And, you know, adding the little moves, you know, the little nuances in footwork, speeding it up a little bit, changing angles, adding a bit of head movement. This is really how you can, you know, implement it in your shadow boxing and really start to bring your game together a lot. Because if you get good footwork, I've always said this, it's so true. You get good footwork and a good jab, and you keep your hands up, right? If I'm out like this and I've got it here, bing, and I'm just moving my feet, boom, and I'm just moving like this, hands up, bop, bop. I mean, you could be really, really quite hard to beat, to be honest. If you stick to those and you're disciplined about it. Hopefully the audio is still with me. Whenever I bounce around like that, the audio drops out. Anyway, let's get into the actual footage of what I'm talking about, right? Because I want you guys to go from this, right, to then stepping around here, pivots, stepping, side shuffling, shuffle forward, pivot. You know, this is decent footwork, you know, but it's stuff that I feel like you can do once you understand what you're doing, right? So I just made a video about the shuffle, which is going back and forth on the balls of your feet like this, right? So you're essentially shuffling is just a quicker way than stepping, right? So I would recommend you shuffle, practice that, step, practice that, right? And then you got the pivot, right? Practice that. Practice all these individually, and then instead of think of it as a square, think of it as a circle, right? So now I'm side shuffling around here. All of a sudden I'm here, boom, and I'm going around the circle, side shuffle, back to the steps, jab. Don't actually throw any punches just yet, unless you're just throw in a jab. Keep it really simple, right? And I'll do that again in case I went a little too fast, right? So instead of doing this, I'm now, you see I just made a circle there by like side shuffling out, right? Give myself a little bit of room. Jab, can side shuffle this way. Now I just kind of step pivoted a little bit. Well, it was really a pivot. A step pivot is when you step like that and pivot, right? Step like that and pivot. Step, pivot. Can help you get a good angle, you know, but depending on which way you're step pivoting, you gotta be careful, right? If I'm step pivoting this way, I'm going into my opponent. So this is for beginners. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but let's rewind that and do it again, because, you know, I'm hoping that people that are watching this are understanding where I'm going with this video, because it's really important. It will really, really help you understand why footwork's so powerful. This is actually a much better angle. Hopefully the light is okay. Right, so let's do this again, right? So you're here, you're out in the park or wherever you are, shadow boxing, right? And you're gonna step like this, and you're gonna step like this, you're gonna step like this, you're gonna step like this, pivot, and then move, pivot, side shuffle, pivot, step, shuffle, shuffle, right, pivot, jab, boom. It's the little nuances and the little shift of feet, not using necessarily the same length either, right? There's something called a half step, which is usually pretty good for counter punching. So, you know, we'll get to that at a later date. But, you know, you've got to think of the footwork as not just one step, the same size, right? Especially shuffling here. You know, side shuffles, these are so powerful, you know? Like here, pivot, jab. See that? Slip, pivot, boom. See that? Slip, pivot, boom. And that's actually a good way to include a bit of rhythm is head movement, right? I'm gonna do a video on head movement pretty soon. Boom, boom, huh? See, I just got to the outside with the head movement. Shot comes in, move the head, pivot, boom. But you don't have to worry about the countering, but you can throw some head movement in, right? Slip to your left, it's gonna naturally make you want to pivot this way, right? Slipping to your right is a little different, because you're gonna have to pull under because your body's not in the right position. But, so I'm here, I'm shuffling, shuffling, shuffling in each direction, right? Very powerful, pivot, pivot, step, pivot, jab, shuffle round, boom, boom. So, but combine all the elements together slowly, right? Let's do this slowly, right? I'm here, I'm shuffling. It's harder to do it slower because I lose my rhythm because I'm not doing it in my natural pace, but I'll try. I'm here, I'm shuffling, and then I'm here, I'm shuffling around, back in my stance, jab, step, pivot, and making the circle here, this here, pivot, 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 jab, side shuffle, shuffle back, shuffle forward, inside here, boom. You know, it's pretty all right footwork really that you can get pretty quickly if you just slow things down and understand you can shift directions by shuffling, by stepping. You don't have to take a full step, you can take half steps, you know? Half step, half step, half step, half step, half step, full steps, full steps, full steps. You know, just you got to practice a little bit. It might seem a little far out there to some beginners going from the basic box step to this, but if you just get out of this, at some point you're crawling, right? This is crawling. You got to start walking. And that's how you start walking, is by trying to walk and adding and understanding what moves you got to make. And at some point you're just gonna have to, you know, make a jump for it and just throw yourself out there with making mistakes. Record yourself, watch them back, understand what you're doing, take it slowly. You know, you can do it. You just got to put the time in and just, like I said, not research, but understand the moves that you're doing before you've done it. Go, okay, this is a shuffle, right? This is a full step. This is a half step. This is a pivot. This is a step pivot, right? This is a slip pivot. Slip to your left is an easy one, right? If you're an orthodox. If you're southpaw, you're gonna slip to your right, pivot that way. But if I'm here, the right hand will come in, whew, could just slip, pivot, bam, bam. But it's like the rhythm of the head movement and the timing and your foot position with the pivot, all those things really matter, or the foot movement as well. Let me slow it down so you can practice together, right? This is a part where you should watch this side by side and do it, because as I always say, application is going to be your best friend, right? You need to apply yourself. Watching the video is great, you know, reading about this stuff is great, but you've got to actually put it in practice. At the same time does help, but if you watch it later, freeze frame it. These motorbikes, their engines are so loud, I can still hear that now, right? So, step, 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 step. You can do this, you can do this, right? Practice shuffling. All right, practice that. That'll be a very powerful one, because then you can shuffle around to the side like this, shuffle around here. See, I just pivoted there, shuffle here, right? Head movement here, shuffle, pivot, pivot, pivot. And all of a sudden, that language is starting to sound a bit more fluent, right? You're not just like me when I'm learning Spanish, like, hola, ¿cómo estás? Muy bien, right? You're like actually conversing with someone, right? And that shuffle, pivot, head movement, you know, you got to think of it like there's a lot of instincts involved in footwork, right? There's a lot of instincts involved in footwork, right? Meaning, you know, if someone's charging at you, if you're a complete raw beginner, your instinct is to go back like that, right? And you know, you might be going in the right direction and it might look good-ish, but if you look closer, like, you know, your footwork is a little cumbersome because you're reacting like this from a natural, imminent danger, right? That's a good thing, instincts and moving backwards. It's just, how are you gonna get there? You know, because there's a better way to do it. Keeping your base, keeping your shape, keeping your balance, keeping your feet as smooth and as rhythmical as possible, so you're able to, you know, either move in different directions, punch, defend yourself. And that's why footwork's so important, because you rely on your feet being set, and having good footwork and having good balance is crucial because it allows you to do that. So, you know, think about it from an instincts point of view. Speed up the pace a little bit, right? Step back like that and pretend you are getting charged, and just see how you do with it. And understand what you're doing wrong, but slow it down really. You know, that's really what I would recommend. Slow it down, build it up, and go step by step, okay? Because there's gonna be a point where you're gonna make mistakes. There's gonna be a point where you're just gonna have to, you know, just go for it really. And it's not gonna feel that comfortable. It's gonna feel awkward. You might feel like you're doing it completely wrong, and that's okay. You know, we can all fail. That's the whole point of getting better, is that we're all going to fail at some point. It's not the problem there. The problem is not trying. Anyway, I might shoot this again because the sun is not even out. Alright guys, I didn't have a chance to shoot the ending, so I just wanted to say thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and you know, get practicing. Try and, you know, improve as much as you can, as often as you can, and be the best version that you can. But yeah. Smash the like button if you enjoyed it, and hit the subscribe button if you're new. Thanks for watching. Always appreciated.
Boxing.
On the edge.